Hey, everybody, welcome to Meddkit's Provider Spotlight, where we are interviewing the really most amazing private practices all across the beautiful USA. And it is really fun every week to tune in and talk to someone new. They are a wealth of information. And today we have a very awesome guest, Dr. Candice Cox from KHAOS Incorporated, as our guest speaker. Welcome, Dr. Candice.
Well, thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm super excited to hear all the information that you have to spread. You have such a great personality and so bright. And I know we're going to have a good time getting into the nitty gritty. So I guess we'll get started. And I think first things first, would love to hear your story and what inspired you to open up Chaos.
So I am what we call a chaos kid. And so I say regular chaos, CHAOS, is when you can't help acting out severely. We've all had those moments where something's happened and we go back and say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have responded to that message, shouldn't have responded to that email, but whatever, I'm here. And then my chaos is KHAOS, and it stands for keep healing and overcoming struggles. And so my thought process surrounding mental health and mental wellness is life is going to happen to us. It's going to happen no matter what we do. But just because life happens, it doesn't mean that it has to stop. We all have the ability to create a new normal as we keep healing and overcoming struggles. So, being a kid that was born to 15 and 16-year-old parents, having an A score, which is adverse childhood experiences of 5, when I went to college, I tell people all the time I was academically prepared to be there, but wasn't emotionally ready. And so I found myself constantly triggered and found myself constantly cycling through the fight, flight, and freeze. And so it got to a point where I started fighting, and I was like, hey, I needed to do something. And so I was at jeopardy of getting kicked out of college because of my anger. I couldn't get it together. So they put me in anger management classes, but the anger management classes, they just weren't good for me. And so I said, you know what, I got to do something different. And so during the time of all of this happening, I ended up working at a boys and girls club and a juvenile detention center. And so it was me going through and doing my own work while also looking at these kids and saying, what did I need when I was their age, and creating something for them, that chaos was born.
I love that. I love, how sometimes, there's adversity that we face in life. But I love how you kind of squeezed the lemons and made some lemonade out of that and figured out what works for you, but then saw exactly like you a few years back and say, what do they need? And
Yeah.
what do I wish I had? And I love that you had that experience and kind of made it full circle in a way. So I love that. And so, what do with your practice, what do you find is the most common areas that you treat or just really find that people are struggling with? Like, what is it with these days? Like, what do you find people are like mostly coming in with? Mostly like, hey, Dr.
Yeah.
Candice, like, I have this, and that going on. Like, what do you think are those most common things?
So, we have a lot of anxiety, we have a lot of depression, and what people don't recognize is a lot of that is stemming from trauma. And so, COVID did a number on us. It
Yeah.
really did, and COVID really kind of pulled the blanket back and helped us recognize that there were a lot of maladaptive coping skills that was going on, and also really uncovered a lot of the things that were happening inside of our homes that we were running from. And so now, since those things have kind of been outed, we are dealing with a lot of individuals who are recognizing that, you know what, I do have a high amount of toxic stress. Whoa, I do have some trauma, and it's showing up by me being anxious, by me having mood swings, by me having a hard time making decisions, by me not having the energy to do the things that I used to do. And so those are the things that we are really seeing a lot of, and helping people recognize the root of what's going on.
Yeah, no, I love, even though we're kind of 4 years removed from 2020, it's still crazy how much the pandemic really has affected things. And I I don't think it's still talked enough, not talked enough widely enough about that. Yes, the wool kind of got pulled over us, and all these
Mhm.
things that we were running from, we could no longer run from. It was me, myself, and I, right? And we had to face the inner demon, the inner whatever workings of our mind, because there was nothing else left to distract us with, right?
Yes, 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 yes. And
Yeah.
that's something that, we in the US do a great job of fleeing. You know what I'm saying? Like we do a great job of running. We're like, oh, we're doing Margarita Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, I'm gonna just go to the gym. Oh, I'm gonna just pick up an extra shift. Oh, I'm gonna do this. All of these things that we're so used to running. And when we had to sit, that was the time where it was just like, whoa, a lot of us did a hard reset. A
Yeah.
lot of us did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we were our own wound center, like slapping band-aids on,
yeah,
go tomorrow.
I talk about it all the time. I say, we have as a culture, we've just really gotten good at putting band-aids, pretty band-aids over infected wounds, and just because you put a band-aid over it and you cover it, it doesn't mean that you're not still dealing with it. And that's kind of where a lot of things have kind of started showing up as well post-COVID. People have paid attention to the somatic things, a lot of the physical manifestations of stress. They're realizing I can't sleep. They're realizing that my brain won't shut down. My body's aching and I don't know why. I'm gaining weight. I can't lose weight, or, I'm constantly losing weight, those types of things. And they're wondering what's going on. And it's like, yeah, these are physical manifestations of stress. Like you're stressed out, baby. Like you really got some stuff you got to deal with.
Yeah, and leaning into that and
Mhm.
leaning into the uncomfortableness, leaning into, okay, we have nowhere to hide. I know that talking about our mental health and talking about our feelings and things can kind of somewhat be unnerving to some folks.
Yes.
And, we stray away from that as much as, mental health community has come so far and definitely less of a stigma and all these amazing things. How do you break it down for people? And how do you make them feel, most comfortable?
And so one of the biggest things is I say that mental wellness is dope. And so dope means it's done on purpose every day. And helping people understand that, if you're not mentally well, you're mentally ill. Just the same as if you're not physically well, you're physically ill. But, society has taught us if I am physically ill, I do something about it. I got a headache, I'm taking a Tylenol, Advil, something. I got a toothache, I'm going to the dentist. I have a body ache and it's too bad, I am going to the doctor, or I am going to the ER and I need y'all to hook me up to the good stuff, figure out what's going on. But, if we're so depressed that we don't have the energy to pull ourselves out of the bed, we talk crap about ourselves or other people talk crap about us. Or if we walk into a place and our anxiety has us at a place where we're overstimulated and we feel like we got to run out of there, people talk about us. Or if there's places where we haven't felt physically and or emotionally safe in certain situations, we don't go places or we don't want to be around certain things or certain environments, and people talk about it. And so my thing is to just normalize it and help people understand that just the way that you take care of your body, you have to take care of your mind, and that is that important. Your brain runs your body. And so I teach people that you have to pay attention when certain somatic stuff or certain things start happening within the inside. It's like the check engine light came on in your car. And so, I don't know about you, but I've driven around with my check engine light on for a while because the car still works. But understanding that the car may work, but it's not working at its best capacity.
Yep.
And it's the same with you, with your body. Just because you keep moving, it doesn't mean you're moving at the best capacity. And you
Yeah.
deserve to be the best version of you.
I love that. And, yeah, the car isn't running at its best capacity. You're also damaging it further in the process
Yes,
by maybe not
yes.
getting your oil changed or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it might be. And so I love the way you break it down because mental health, mental wellness is just like, you're from the beginning of time, we are told you need to go to the dentist twice a year. Every 6 months, it's like
Yeah.
clockwork. You go, you get your teeth cleaned, check it out, get your x-rays, and you move on, right?
Yes.
You get your annual physical. Make sure you're all good, vitals, all this and that is all dandy. Same thing. And
Yes.
I like how you do that because the same type of integration should be in here, just as the dentist, just as their annual
Mhm.
physical. Same thing needs to happen with our mental wellness. And I
Yes.
love dope That's
Thank you.
awesome. Dope
Thank
is
you.
awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm an acronym person. I believe that you can get a lot of information from something small. And that, that is what the chaos mindset is. Also, it's filled with acronyms, so it's like that's another way that I bring mental health and wellness, to people and make it digestible. My thought process is to urbanize mental health and mental wellness. And so, it's a phrase. To
Yeah.
live a life of chaos, you must be willing to break free from your barriers, get raw with your issues, reset your mind, and be patient with you. And so raw, free, reset, and patient are all acronyms, and they all deal with different things. Yes.
Yeah, raw, you have dope, you have chaos, done on purpose every day, Dr. Candice. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
You know what? Yeah, it does really change things.
Yeah.
Like you hear that and you're already like, yes, I can do this. Like, yes, that over there seems very exciting and where I want to get to. So I love how you flip the script in something that is maybe scary or unnerving to people to something that they want to actually run towards,
Yeah.
you know?
That's it. It's about building a chaos community where we all recognize that, one of the things that I teach all of my clinicians is that, and my coaches, because we do coaching and we have clinicians as well. And it's all about understanding that we are not the expert on other people and helping other people and empowering them to recognize that they are the experts of themselves and teaching them you have everything in you that you need to be the best version of you. So let's just help you find it.
Yeah, I love that. And you talk and you use the word community a lot, which I
Yes.
love. It seems like it's such a warm embrace and people that you just really genuinely care about. So, what do you do in either your local community, your chaos community? What other things that you do to serve your community to help?
And so I have a team, and so I love my little team. And so we go into schools. And so I wrote a curriculum. And so we go into schools and we teach kids about social and emotional learning. We teach them about toxic and traumatic stress and adverse childhood experiences. And we teach them about the difference between maladaptive and adaptive coping skills, about appropriate communication skills. And we teach them about the different chaos mindset skills, as well as our characters, because we created characters. You can see I have my little character in the corner, but we also have 7 children that are characters, and they're our chaos kids. And so we utilize the characters to be able to teach the kids about mental health and mental wellness. But we take it a step further. We also do parent workshops and teach parents the same things on an adult level that we're teaching the kids, because we learned that it doesn't make sense to help heal the kids, but then we send them back into the same environments that broke them. That doesn't make any sense. And so we also do professional development in regard to working with our educators, but also within community centers and different spaces of that nature. We also go into jails and we talk to inmates and teach them about the chaos mindset and different things of that nature. And one thing that we talk to inmates about and we teach them and we tell them, if you don't take anything else from us speaking with you, take this. There's nothing wrong with you. It's quite a possibility there are some things that have happened to you throughout the duration of your life, and those things have changed you and the way that you interact with the world around you. And so that is the thing that we like to embed, because we want everybody to know it doesn't matter if you are 6 or 106. It doesn't matter what your path is in life, that you have the ability to create a new normal.
I love that. And I love, you know, you kind of give a whole new meaning to it takes a village. And I love that not only are you teaching and working with students and kids, but then you're also taking that holistic approach and then working with the parents because it's like, hey, you're right. You fix the kid, you work with the kid, you get the kid in a better place, and then they go right back to being retriggered and they go right
Yes.
back to all that. But if you can also work with the adult and say, hey, these are some ways to cope, to do things, try things different, then you're fixing a whole family unit. And
And so what we call it transgenerational healing, and so that's it. We focus on intergenerational trauma, but then we look at transgenerational healing. We look at, okay, if we can help you heal, then maybe we can help you heal forward and backwards. And I got that thought process because I did it myself. I am a product of the chaos mindset. And so, I did the work. I went to therapy. I walked through the skills of the chaos mindset. I embedded those things into my children. So my children are very emotionally intelligent. They are very big on boundaries and appropriate communication and building healthy relationships. And then my mom decided to go to therapy, and then my grandmother about a year ago decided to go to therapy. And so you look at it and it's like, this is a transgenerational type of process here. And so the family that you came from doesn't have to always be the family that you have forever, because changes can be made.
I love that. And kudos to you and your family. And, even getting your grandma, involved too is like, that's a really hard generation to involve. So, like,
Definitely.
you, you are a living testament to walking the walk, and what you're saying and what you're doing. And so that's really fabulous. But I love, the term community. I see that in everything that you're doing with the kids to the parents to teachers to inmates. I think everyone can get a little piece of this pie and feel better about it. And so, you know moving forward into, all of us, everyone that's watching here today, people that are sitting at home that are, thinking about your acronyms and thinking about, what steps do they need to take next.
Mhm.
What do you think that would be? What do you think that is like super important for our mental health? Or if we can take one small step forward, what would you encourage someone to do?
The first thing is just one of our skills is called RAW. And RAW stands for realize, admit, and work through. And so the first thing is to realize that you're not okay. And that's a hard thing to do, but you have to recognize, think back. And RAW came for me when I had just had my son, I was dealing with postpartum, I had just moved, like it was so much going on. And one day I was brushing my teeth and I caught eyes with myself and I looked so sad. And I couldn't remember the last time I didn't feel sad. And so if you are a person and you are not feeling like you're balanced, try to think back to the last time that you didn't feel that way. And so, think what's changed in me. And so the realize is that something's changed and I'm not okay. The admit is looking at what are the things that I can do to change that, because we often blame other people for what's happening in our lives, but we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves, the level of access we give people to us, and how we respond to what they do. So admit, how has the things that are happening in my life, how have they changed me? And what can I do about it? And then the W is to work to create a new normal. So dream, what does it look like? What does it look like to get to a point where you do have joy and you have happiness and you have peace? And so then we say intention, attention, attitude. That's the work. Be intentional about the thoughts that you have, be intentional about the things that you're doing, because it's okay for you to question you. Sometimes we're on autopilot. And so sometimes we just get into emotion where we're just waking up to go to sleep. And that's not fair to us. So, be intentional about why you're doing what you're doing and why you're making the decisions you're making. And then pay attention to who and what you give your attention to. Be aware of it, because you are a product of your environment. So look at, what are the things I'm putting into my mind, the shows I'm watching, the books I'm reading, the people I'm talking to, the places I'm going. Look at those things. And then look at how those things are impacting your attitude. And if they're impacting your attitude in a negative way, then it's time to make a change. And so I say, just to bring it all back, just get raw, realize, admit, and work through.
That's amazing. I think kind of what you said in the beginning, realizing is really that first really tough stage. And I love how you really broke it down. And I love the meaning of raw. Um, but it really makes sense. And I think when you can get to that point to, take some accountability, realize, what's going on here, and just take that step back.
Yeah.
And just start there. Take the step
Mhm.
back and just
Yes.
realize some stuff that's going on that has changed.
Hmm.
A lot of people I think would come on and might say, try to meditate or try to like relax or try, and like all those things are important too. But like,
Yes.
I love that you're taking, just have some ownership of what's going on.
Yes. That's big. One of the things that I'm big on authenticity and I'm big on accountability. And I say that, accountability is at the root of healing. Even one thing I talk a lot about is grieving relationships, because we talk about grieving a lot, but it's usually when someone passes away, but we don't talk about grieving the loss of the job that I thought I would be at forever, or the loss of the opportunity that I thought I would have that didn't come, or the loss of the relationship that I thought was going to last forever, or the loss of the friendship that didn't last, because we don't talk about grieving friends, and those are big, and so putting those things into perspective and just kind of stepping back and saying, you know what, I need to take some accountability and recognize that this changed me. It shifted me.
Yeah.
How did it shift me? And then what am I going to do about it? And so one of our other skills is free, and free stands for forgive, release, embrace, and elevate. And so that last E is important, because we shift from the Y mindset to what I call WHW, what, how, what, looking at what happened, how did it impact me, and what am I going to do about it? It's all about empowering the individual.
That is amazing. I love free because in a sense, now I understand what it stands for, but then it does, doing all of those steps does set you free. When you
Yes,
forgive and like there's like that weight that came off your shoulders because
yes,
you're no longer angry, you're no longer upset,
yes,
and you
yes.
just move on in the
Yes,
way.
yes, yes, yes. And the same thing with raw. Raw, when I came up with raw, I thought about it like you think about it organic. What are, you think about when you're raw, when you're eating raw vegetables and things like that, you're getting back to the natural source. And so I say, get raw, stop living a processed life.
Wow. You have like the best acronyms. How do you
Thank
come
you.
up? How did you come up with all of this? Like,
You know, I've always just been a person, and I've always been an acronym person. I have ADHD. And so I didn't learn that I had ADHD until I was in college, and we were learning about the DSM-4. And I was like, well, what happens if you get like 5 out of 7 of those? But, but for me in learning, I've always used acronyms, even in math and different things like that, for me to be able to catch on to things. And so it's just been a part of my lifestyle. And so, like, as I've gotten older, when I started learning about mental health and mental wellness, my thought process was, how do I take it out of this book and make it something that people can understand? And that's where, I started applying acronyms to it.
I love it. I think it's a great part of learning. I too used it in school. I would sing songs. I would
I
make
do.
up my
Yes,
own songs, Candice.
yes, me too.
Just remember what the heck was going on. And you know what? I didn't care because I got the good grade and I
Yes,
remembered it and I learned. But I think
yes,
it's a great way of learning, but also has really deep meaning, not just behind the acronym, but in the word itself. And
yes.
so kudos to you for
Thank
your creativeness and really helping out your community and doing such a fabulous job with that. You're a breath of fresh air,
thank
and
you.
it's been so wonderful to interview you today. And before we step off,
Mhm.
I'd really love for you to share where folks can find you, where they can reach out, and learn more, and just touch base with you or your team.
Awesome. Okay, can I do two things? Can I
Yeah,
say the
you can
chaos
do whatever you want.
affirmation and then
Yeah,
give them our contact information?
you can do whatever you want, Dr.
Here we
Candice.
go. So here's our chaos affirmation. I wrote it for myself when I first started with the chaos mindset, and then started sharing it with individuals. And if you like it, you can find it on our website at www.chaosinc.org. That's with a K, or on all social media at Chaos Mindset. That's KHAOS And so here it is. My story is my story because it makes me who I am. I'm never ashamed of what I've been through. I'm now doing the best I can. My feelings are my feelings, even when it's a burden to hold. There is nothing wrong with saying it's hard to carry the load. I reset now to remember every situation encourages thought. When I realize, admit, and work through my issues, I can get raw. I embrace my whole truth as I break free. Forgive, release, embrace, and elevate over any dis-ease. One day at a time, no shame on the days I feel troubled. working hard every day to keep healing and overcoming struggles. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, Dr. Candice, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and great way to end off. Honestly, couldn't have done it better. So we're just going to put the mic drop right.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. And for anybody that's watching this, please know that it doesn't have to be the way it's always been. You can always create a new normal. You can't go back, but you can create a new normal. And that's what's important.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Candice. We hope to have you again soon. You are fabulous.
Please and thank you anytime. You have an amazing day.
You too.